I believe that Congregation Beth Am, as we know it, should cease to exist. Not because Beth Am has failed. Quite the opposite. Beth Am has succeeded brilliantly. But it has succeeded at being a synagogue built for another era. Most American synagogues, including Beth Am, were built on a model created in the years after World War II. Jewish families moved to the suburbs, built homes, joined synagogues, sent children to religious school, and found identity through institutions. We created Jewish versions of the surrounding Christian world in which we lived. We created JCCs instead of YMCAs, federations, unique Jewish camps, Jewish youth groups, Jewish adult learning cohorts, and of course, synagogues. For decades, the model worked beautifully. Synagogues grew, religious schools flourished, JCCs expanded, and Jewish life became vibrant and strong. The structures we built in the 50s are still largely the structures we use today. However, the world has changed. We no longer drive 1950s cars, wear 1950s clothes, or communicate the way that people did in the 1950s. Yet much of Jewish communal life still runs on assumptions built for that time period, a very different America than today. We assume people will come to us because they always have. We assume people will give generously because they always have. We assume people will embrace the programs we offer because they always have. However, today, younger generations value meaning over membership, experience over obligation, and flexibility over structure. They are less likely to join institutions simply because previous generations did. They want Jewish life that is personal, purposeful, flexible, and imminently adaptable. Institutional loyalty is not part of the value proposition for millennials and younger. Now, we've known this for at least a decade. And yet, how have we responded? We continue to organize ourselves in ways that are fundamentally at odds with the world in which we live today. In the book of Ecclesiastes, we read, "Do not say, because the former days were better than these." This statement suggests that while it's tempting to say whatever was done before was good, so it must be valid and worthwhile today, well, we can't do so. It is a flawed conclusion. In fact, Judaism has never survived by freezing itself in place. Judaism survives because it adapts. Our ancestors reinvented Jewish life. They did so after the destruction of the temple. The rabbis transformed sacrifice into prayer, priests into teachers, pilgrimage into community. They understood that holiness does not depend on preserving old structures. Holiness comes from preserving eternal values in new forms. That is why I believe that the future of Jewish life can no longer be built around competing institutions, each fighting for the same dollars, the same volunteers, the same professionals, and the same families. For 50 years, I've watched synagogues, schools, camps, JCCs, Jewish organizations continue on this competition hamster wheel, running ever harder and ever faster for more attention, more funding, more talent, even as the precious hours in people's lives and the precious dollars in their wallets seem to be less and less available for Jewish life. What if we stopped competing? What if, instead of separate organizations, we imagined a Silicon Valley Jewish cooperative, one communal structure serving the entire Jewish population. Imagine a community where Beth Am, Kol Emeth, Eitz Chaim, Emet Bracha, Beth Jacob, the JCC, the Federation, Jewish schools, camps, and Hillel are no longer isolated institutions, jostling with one another, but instead part of one large network, a cooperative venture. Imagine one communal structure serving every Jew in the Silicon Valley. Reform, conservative, Orthodox, Reconstructionist, renewal, secular, left-wing, right-wing, Zionist, anti-Zionist, LGBTQ plus, interfaith, old, young, Israeli, North American, former Soviet bloc, everyone in between. Imagine one fundraising system instead of dozens, one annual campaign, one communal budget, one shared administrative structure, one coordinated calendar. Instead of endless duplication, imagine shared bookkeepers, security, custodians, communication staff, and program coordinators. Imagine how many dollars could be redirected from overhead into actual Jewish life. Instead of duplicating staff and buildings and programming, we could share resources. Instead of fighting over who belongs where, we could focus on helping people find the Jewish experiences that matter most to them. We could stop being territorial. We could begin to be embracive. Imagine one shared vision, one community-wide commitment to living Jewish life meaningfully. The Torah teaches, Kol Yisrael Aravin Zeh B'Zeh. All Jews are responsible one for another. That teaching is not just moral, it's organizational. We are stronger when we see ourselves as one people, not existing in separate camps in our own private silos. In this model, as I envision it, every Jewish household would receive a communal voucher or stipend, a kind of Jewish debit card, to direct towards the Jewish experiences they value most: preschool, camp, adult education, social justice work, prayer communities, art programs, Israel engagement, music, youth groups. Some families may choose a Reform-style service. Others may prefer something more traditional. Some may instead want meditation, social action, or Jewish arts. Some may want Hebrew. Others may want Jewish hiking or book clubs. Instead of institutions like they are now, trying to be all things to all people, each element in the cooperative would focus on what it does best. Programs and Shabbat and holiday services that inspire people would grow. Others that no longer meet a need would slowly fade. The community itself would decide what matters most. Where our feet turn and where our dollars were given, that is where success would be found. The point is not to force everyone into one expression or even one organizational system of Judaism. It's just the opposite. The point is to create one communal Jewish tent large enough to hold all of us, to permit all expressions the opportunity to be nurtured and to flourish. Now, in this vision, rabbis, cantors, educators, musicians, counselors serve the entire community, not only one institution. Buildings belong to the community. Resources belong to the community. Success belongs to the community. Membership in the cooperative would also come with responsibility. People would do three things. One, they would contribute financially according to their means. 2, they would commit to participating in some meaningful way in Jewish life each year. And 3, they would commit in some meaningful way to give back through volunteer service. Now, why require these 3 elements to be part of the cooperative? Because Jewish community is not just a consumer product. It is a covenant and has never been a spectator sport. Rabbi Tarfon taught in Pirkei Avot, it's not our duty to finish the work, but neither are we free to desist from it. And written elsewhere in Pirkei Avot, Hillel says, do not separate yourself from the community. Or to paraphrase the old American Express commercial, membership has both privilege and responsibility. One of my favorite lines in all of Tanakh comes from Psalm 133. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. How good and wonderful it is when brothers and sisters, when family can dwell together in unity. I believe that we have reached a tipping point in our American Jewish experiment where we need to move away from our individual congregations and insular institutions and groups and move towards embracing a broader community model, one not unlike many that exist in Europe. Abraham Joshua Heschel taught that Judaism is not a religion of space, but a religion of time. Perhaps we have spent too much energy preserving buildings and institutions and not enough energy creating sacred moments and sacred relationships. Now, I do not pretend that this would be easy. I get the pride and energy and the resources that have gone into 70 years of creating this sacred home. I am sure the same could be said about every other established building-based organization in our area. But it takes courage to change. The courage of Anwar Sadat and a Menachem Begin. Believe me, for them, it wasn't easy. And this would not be easy either. It's not comfortable. It's not what we were brought up to believe. But maybe, just maybe, it's how we not just survive, but thrive in the future. Soon, in just over 30 days, on Shavuot, we will stand again at Mount Sinai. The Torah teaches that all of Israel stood there together, the faithful and the skeptical, the young and the old, those at the center and those at the margins. At Sinai, we did not stand as separate organizations. We stood as one people. The believers, the scoffers, the socializers, the curious, the wise, the ignorant, everyone stood together. And together we said, Na'aseh v'nishma, we shall do and we shall listen. Perhaps, it's time to put aside our individual egos and our fiefdoms and together raise the level of Jewish living and Jewish loving to heights similar to what each of us, all of us, experienced at Sinai so many generations ago. Perhaps it's time to become one community again. Shabbat Shalom.